There's the skipper. There's the first mate. There's the cook. There's the navigator and the trimmer and the happiness engineer. Hi, I'm Nika Waters, and welcome to the Boat Galley podcast. I'm talking about an important and often overlooked role on board. It might be a good one to keep in mind. First of all, though, I'd like to talk a little bit about our partnership with the Salty Dawg Sailing Association. The Salty Dawg Sailing Association is an educational and charitable organization that helps sailors realize their long-distance cruising dreams. Rallies like the Caribbean Rally, rendezvous like the Annapolis Boat Show dinner with renowned sailor Gary Jobson. Every single SDSA event helps guide newbies to independent decision-making and offshore confidence. There's still time to be a part of the fun for 2023. Join a rally, join a rendezvous, but whatever you do, join the SDSA today. Salty Dawg Sailing Association. Sailors helping sailors. Visit saltydogsailing.org to learn more. That's SaltyDawgsailing.org. I would imagine that part of the joy of joining a group like the Salty Dogs is that you have a happiness engineer kind of baked in. And let me back up for just a second and talk about the happiness engineer and where this whole idea came from. It came directly from my friend Bian on Sailing Totem. Thanks, Bian, for letting me talk about it on the podcast. And she says that one of her favorite roles on board is that of the happiness engineer. There's a link to one of her blog posts about that particular role on board. Because let's face it, often the idea of going cruising is more one person's dream than the other one. And it is the job of the person whose dream it is to make sure that the other people on the boat, whether it's a partner, a spouse, a family, kids, make sure that other people have positive feelings and positive experiences on board. If it's your own dream, you might get great joy in spending endless hours sanding varnish, but maybe that's not what your partner and your kids want to do. If you want them to buy into your dream and be as excited about going cruising as you are, you have to take it upon yourself to make sure that they have some happiness and joy. That doesn't mean that every single day needs to be positive and perfect and amazing and a time at Disney World, but you do need to make sure that they get to have the fun that you envision for this cruise. Maybe that's doing things like keeping an eye on special events at an upcoming cruising location. For instance, if your partner loves music and you want to go to the Caribbean, you might look around for where the jazz festivals are around the Caribbean, or make a point to, hey, we're going to find where the live music is, because a lot of times you can go to live music in outdoor venues and it costs not a whole lot of money, if any, sometimes. We passed one when we were cruising in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and there was just this large floating stage set up, and people were there in dinghies listening to live music. There was no charge involved. Pretty awesome. It might mean taking people off for a dinghy adventure when cabin fever's setting in, when the kids are just complaining because they don't have space to do things and they've already built a million pillow forts, and even if it's raining, hop in a dinghy and go off for an adventure. It might be that you, as the happiness engineer, take care of some of the really ratty, nasty jobs that nobody else really wants to do, but that you might normally have pawned off on somebody else to do. Things like making the bed. Yes, that's really, I think in my head, one of the less fun duties. Have you tried to make a bed on a boat? It's not all that simple, especially on a small boat. Maybe it's cleaning the head. Maybe it's doing a deep clean in the locker behind the stove. It might mean building and land excursions. It might mean using up data, precious data, for video calls to friends and family. It might mean setting aside a locker for favorite toys or favorite hobbies or games or new things that people might want to do. It might be as simple as dropping a family member off at another boat to just have a change of pace. But it also can be lots of things that you do. Only you can think of what the happiness engineer might need to do. But basically, it's keeping boat life positive. And it's not everybody else's job. It definitely can be yours too. This subject has definitely been on my mind a lot lately for a host of reasons. Not the least of which is the fact that we are mired in what seems like our umpteenth endless season of endless boat work. Jeremy's been working by himself since about the first week in August, while I went up to Vermont for some family time and being a chauffeur for a lot of family members, which was great. He's relatively good about socializing with other boatyard inhabitants when he's invited, but it's rare that he will initiate the gathering. One of the things that we love actually about the boatyard where we are right now that's different than a lot of boatyards we've been in recently is that there are actually other people working on their boats. Having other cruisers and other boat owners working on their boats means that you exchange even simple hellos, and you also have someplace to knock an idea off or to share ideas or to go ask somebody to borrow a tool or something like that. When I'm around, we try to organize a Friday night something, usually a grill session, a potluck grill session on the marina deck. But Jeremy won't initiate that. Does that mean that I'm the happiness engineer? It feels a little more like a selfish thing on my part, since I love cooking, I love entertaining, and I love organizing social events like that. But one of the things that we love about cruising is that it is social. We love running into other people on other boats and having them over to our boat for sundowners or figuring out some kind of a land adventure to do. So possibly giving Jeremy an excuse to stop working and to socialize a little bit with other people who can commiserate on boat work. Maybe that is happiness engineering. Does it count if I like it too? That's a good question. We recently did a couple of different important family gatherings up at the lake that were arguably a way of getting Jeremy out of his head-on boat work and coming up to celebrate. But they involved really long car trips and time away from the boat, which feels kind of pressing. But still, it was a break from the slog. Bian talks about in that blog post how she made sure that Jamie pulled away from boat work. They are also in the middle of a far longer boat refit than we've been doing. But she talks about finding something to take Jamie away from the boat work for, about 3 days. But it was something that really spoke to what it is that they love about cruising. And that is learning and getting involved and being a part of local culture. By that nature, by that definition, the fact that one of the things that we like about cruising is socializing with other people, then maybe organizing events at the marina is part of that happiness engineer thing. Sometimes it feels to me like the happiness engineer sneaks in a little bit in the form of planning for future joy. Maybe poring over Bahamas charts, poring over Bahamas cruising guides, ordering the new wing foil that Jeremy wants to learn how to do this winter. I do have to say that sometimes it feels like the happiness engineer for the Calypso Mischief crew seems to be pretty darn AWOL these days. My focus is really on the basics. It's nice to be back with Jeremy at the boat after a month away and being separated, but I keep him fed and I keep him watered and I keep the laundry done and the boat tidy, and yes, I'm doing other boat projects as well. But sometimes it doesn't feel like it's enough to just provide a favorite beer or a favorite meal. I think that sometimes the role of happiness engineer for somebody else seems to be easier than taking it on for yourself. So I invite you, if you are in a role of helping somebody else find happiness and joy and positive angles on boat life, if you are also feeling a little stuck, like it's tough for you, enlist your friends. Enlist your partner. Enlist your alter ego. Put on some rockin' music and have a dance party to figure out that happiness engineer piece. Because in the middle of the deep slog of whatever it is that you're doing, finding ways to keep life light, and positive can be the boost that you need to keep pushing through. If anybody has any ideas for me to happiness engineer for us, I welcome them, because I'm feeling a little loaded down with boat work right at the moment. That said, I can't wait to share an anchorage with you, and maybe we can share ideas and help each other through tough times, because isn't that what this is all about after all? Thank you so much for listening to the Boat Galley podcast. I hope I've given you some food for thought. We love hearing from our listeners. We love it when you come see us at the Annapolis Boat Show. We will be at the Boat Galley booth, and pop by and say hello. Both Carolyn and I will be there every day. We love it when you don't miss an episode, and in order to do that, just subscribe in your very favorite podcast app. The Boat Galley is all about making boat life better, and I sure hope that we help you do that on the podcast. Have the most spectacular week.